Ucha, good rising, great awakenings. Impossible shape. Making the impossible possible. Uh-oh. I am missing something. It's warming up in here. Good rising. Oh, it's Constance. Good rising, great awakenings. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube and TikTok. Oops, gotta switch the screen around. Okay. All right. Good rising, great awakenings. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tapping the screen. Those of you on TikTok, if you could tap. And I see Constance is here on YouTube. Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's see. What is the temperature right now? Oh, it's warm. It's 17 degrees. Feels like 12. Yes, it feels like 12. And it's going to snow on Friday. Good to know. All right. I'm so glad that you mentioned feeding your dog cricket dog food. I've been looking into it and now I want to start a cricket farm on the bus. Oh my goodness. Constance is one of the, I would say, virtual temple members. And I was telling her about this dog food that I found for my dog Sybil a few years ago. It's made from crickets. I don't know if I'm ready to eat crickets, but I'm ready to feed my dog crickets. I've tried other dog food styles where you get the fresh food and it's frozen and you heat it up and you thaw it. And I tried cooking for them. I had 2 dogs, and it was just a lot of work. So the crickets is really working. She doesn't have a rash. She doesn't have a terrible odor anymore. It's easier for her to get around. It's just better. Oh, microgreens and having compost. Okay. Constance is out there doing it, living the life. All right. Well, I'm here in this old building that I inherited with the vision of turning it into a wellness center / artist studio. So we're both blazing trails. All right. So why is today's broadcast called TaMeriKan Tuesdays? We have Good Rising TV on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And on Tuesdays, we talk about topics of interest to those on the TaMeriKan path. What is Tamerica? Tameri is the Natarian or Kemetic name for North, Central, and South America. We've also been known as Chiamaru and Amaruka. And so Tamerica kind of combines all those different ways of describing where we're from. And what do I mean when I say we? I'm referring to Aboriginal Americans. We've recently more of us have come into the awareness and knowledge that the first people on every continent were what Western imperialism calls Black. And that is a different category of people from Native Americans and even Indigenous Americans. Hello, non boys. Greetings. Yes, that's a different category. Good rising, Hatshepsut. Cooking now. Ooh, it sounds good to me. What are you cooking today? Yeah, so TaMeriKan is a way to distinguish this continent. The Aboriginal Americans have been reclassified many times as American Indian, colored, Negro, Black, African American, Afro American. However, none of those places exist anywhere on the earth. There's no place called American India. There's no place called Native America. There's no place called Afro America or African America. There's no place called Black. There's no place called colored. So many of us have stopped identifying with these terms brought onto us by the colonizers. And we're coming up with terms that, we're not coming up with terms, we're returning to different ways of describing ourselves that have been done in the past. Like usually when you think of Aboriginal, you think of Aboriginal Australians or Aboriginal New Zealanders. However, there's also Aboriginal Americans. Aboriginal Americans have been declared, or not declared, described by pirates and invaders and colonizers as copper colored. Copper colored, or they call Indian red. Um, my dad was definitely what we call Indian red. My a little bit about my heritage on my mother's side. I have Cherokee great grandmothers. All of my grandmothers had Cherokee mothers or grandmothers. And then on my father's side, Cherokee and or Blackfoot from Mississippi. And then the men were either indigenous, African, Black, or Caucasian. We have a German, Hamburg, which is where my maiden name comes from, and on my mother's side, Johnson, Henri Jean Baptiste was a famous slave owner in New Orleans. And we are descendants of Henri Jean Baptiste. My grandfather's name is Bernard Henry Johnson. He spelled it Henri, Henri. He said he was from Paris, Texas, that is. So there's lots of people like this. And so we are forging a new trail in this culture called TaMeriKan. And my role is to find the correspondences between the Naturian culture from Kemet and the Naturian culture from TaMeri, in particular the Olmec, Maya, Quechua from Peru, the Lakota, and the Cherokee, because those are the ones I'm most familiar with. And of course, we will also eventually, learn about other traditions. I know a little bit about the Hopi and a little bit about the Seminole. I know a little bit about the Round Valley Indians over in the northwest of Turtle Island. So that's what I know about. So we'll just be sharing those things. Good rising. Brown rice with split peas, butternut, and leftover grated beet. I was planning to add some leafy greens. Yummy. Well, it's been over a week now. For during the winter solstice, I made Three Sisters stew had pinto beans, buttercup squash, and corn. I also put in green beans, and it was probably the best dish I ever made. Yesterday, we had quinoa with green beans, and I just baked a butternut squash. I'm going to try the grated beet. I have some beet, so I'm going to try that. So normally on these programs, we have a bit of a discussion or me rambling about my favorite topics. And then at around 9:30, we switch over to the yoga class, Akusaneb Reflective Movement Meditation System. And that will happen if someone is able to leave a donation for Cosmology Temple. If not, I'll just do the session by myself. So that's what we've been doing lately, and it's working well. So we'll just keep going with that system. All right. So before I begin, are there any comments or questions? Those of you who are joining on TikTok, if you'd like to be part of the conversation, just leave me a note. I don't usually participate in match games, but if you'd like to add something to the conversation, Ms. Boyd 7, just let me know. I'll bring you on. Got a few people on YouTube, so we're in good shape. Good rising, J Sound, Ulysses. All right. I think today we're going to have some words from my very first book that I wrote called Introduction to the Galactic Worldview. And this is what my PhD project would have been if I had turned it in, basically. So I think we might have read every page from here. I used to just open it randomly. We may have already covered it. Okay. I don't know if you're going to be able to see these maps, so I don't know. This shows a little bit about the clock created by the Milky Way and the ecliptic. Oops. It'll be easier for me to share this once I get it uploaded. That's what I'm working on. Okay. So let's just find a little bit out about these diagrams here. These letters are really small. All right, so one of them, the letters are too small. This is the movement of the Milky Way on one night, on the night of August 13th AD 690, the year in which the group of the cross was dedicated. On this night, the Milky Way moved from the crocodile tree in the hours after dusk until the 3 stones of the hearth arrived high in the sky at dawn. At 1000 BC, at the latitude of La Venta, this sequence of positions started with the Wakab Khan at zenith and ended with the place of creation at zenith. In the 1700 years between Olmec times and the late 7th century, precession had moved the constellation about 2 hours to the east. So that's just showing how the Milky Way clock has changed from the time of the Olmec to the time of the Aztec, basically. It's a crocodile canoe from the Tikal bones, and then there's a sky canoe, and then there's someone riding on the back, the peccary, which is known as Gemini. And this is my commentary. Once the Maya was invaded by the Aztec, the culture of this region became one associated with human sacrifice, mortal war games, and sun worship, with the sun requiring, quote unquote, requiring human blood, i.e. souls for offerings. Gary Urton, another researcher from UT, in his book At the Crossroads of the Earth and Sky, gives a detailed account of cultural and astronomical practices of the Cusco region today and yesterday. This includes info from calendars and planting cycles, village layout, and festival observances, as well as Indian constellations. Another relevant theme is the orientations of the stars of the 4 quarters. Here we find yet another example of an ancient galactic culture which was invaded and subsequently developed or forced into a sun-worshipping society. What follows are excerpts from Urton's book. So Urton dealt with the Quechua from Peru, and Linda Sheely was with the Mayan cultures. Let's see here. The night before February 5th, AD 600, began with the 3 stones of creation. The 3 stones of creation are the stars in Orion's belt. Oh, good rising, Truth Seeker. Thank you for liking the live. I'm reading from my very first book on Introduction to Galactic Worldview, and we're just taking our time studying different correspondences between Kemetic culture and the cultures of TaMeri from the cosmological, galactic, and Sirius perspective. Okay, so the three stones of creation in the same position they achieved at dawn on August 15th, because the 2 days are reciprocals of each other, February 5th and August 13th. The sky at dawn on one day is the same as it is at sunset on the other. The three stones of creation, the turtle, which is Orion, the peccaries, which is Gemini, and the handful of corn seeds, then fall towards the west and sink into the horizon. The sky then moves through the black transformer out of which rises the raised up sky tree. At dawn, the tree is overhead in a north to south arch. Again, in 1000 BC, this observance went from zenith to zenith. Well, let's unpack some of that. Okay, so they were just talking about the sacred hoop, which is my favorite area of the sky, Orion, Gemini, and Canis Major or Sirius. And they talked about Orion, which is the three stones of creation on the back of the turtle, the Mayan tradition. The peccaries, which is Gemini, it's also called the basketball court, and a handful of corn seeds. Now, in the Cherokee myth, how the Milky Way came to be was when the great dog, which would be Canis Major or Sirius, was stealing corn from the humans. And so one night they set a little trap and scared the dog away. And when the dog, because the dog it's a giant dog and was coming down to earth and was stealing their food and the corn that they were turning into grain or flour to make tortillas. And so the humans hid, and then when the great dog came, they jumped up and made lots of noise. And when the dog scared, he spilled the cornmeal, and that is the birth of the Milky Way. So this is very interesting. I have a song called Where the Dog Ran. You can find it on my Celestial Folk Music album. Okay. And so the other thing that's interesting to me is the black transformer, which is the black hole, and then the tree, the raised up sky tree. So you heard me talk about the spiral dance medicine wheel. At the middle of fall is Dia de los Muertos. Winter solstice is when major religions of Western imperialism have their holy days. And then at the middle of winter is called the raising of the tree. And that's because the Milky Way is oriented straight up and down like a tree. Because I think, you might have heard me say, when you see the Mayan tree, the foliated cross, it represents where the ecliptic cross is, the tree of life. We talked about that last week. So, here's a good image. I got to come up with my own illustrations. This one shows the river of life, the Milky Way, the great peccary, the Gemini, and the three stars of the turtle, Orion's belt. See that? So we're looking right at the sacred hoop. And so when it's in this configuration, when the tree is straight up and down and you have the peccary or the pig and the turtle right next to it, that's at the raising of the tree. And where we are, that would be in the middle of winter. When do they say this is? Yeah, February 5th, that's the middle of winter. The middle of winter is around February 1st, but it lasts several days. And then also the Chinese New Year is the new moon at midwinter, right? Okay, so this is giving me some ideas. This is giving me a really good idea. I am planning a trip to the Mounds, And I wasn't sure if I was going to go for this alignment coming up January 21st to 25th, or I was going to wait for the raising of the tree. And I decided to wait for the raising of the tree. But this is giving me some ideas here. I don't know if you can see. These are glyphs. These are Mayan glyphs for, what is it? The peccaries, it's copulating peccaries, Gemini, Mars, Saturn, and the turtle, the back of Orion's belt. So January 21st to 25th, there's we'll be talking about this tomorrow. There's 6 planets that will be in a line. They're not all in one constellation, but you'll be able to see with the naked eye, you'll be able to see 4 of them all at the same time, spread out like a jeweled necklace. So I'm going to prepare a diagram like this, if I remember. Yeah, cool. And what else do they have here? They have the maize god, the jaguar paddler, the sun ray paddler, Akbal, and the canoe, the sky canoe. The sky canoe and the rebirth of the maize god, which is Asar. Okay, so we'll learn more about those as we go along. Awesome. Love getting inspired in most unusual ways and places. So here's some more diagrams. We looked at these before, of the foliated cross, which represents the Milky Way. And once I get the book uploaded, I'll be able to share the images much easier. But the foliated cross represents the ecliptic cross of the Milky Way. And then here's the 3 stars on the back of the turtle, Orion's belt. When the 3 stars were put onto the back of the turtle, that's when the universe started to spin, or the creation began to spin. And in the Cherokee myth, when the great dog spilled corn, that's when the Milky Way was formed. So we just keep putting all this together. We're going to come up with something magical. All right? So, to the mounds. So I've got a list here of the main mounds. I'm sure there's a lot more, but I'm going to work on these 10 for this year, for 2025. We have Watson Break in Louisiana, 3500 BC. Now, it's interesting. The other post live stream that I did talking about the mounds, I said a word that they didn't like, and so you can't view it. So if I'm repeating what I said a few weeks ago, it's because I want to. Louisiana, 3500 BC. And of course, we know that these mounds are much older. A friend of mine told me about a movie it's a series on Netflix. And if she hadn't told me about it, I would have just passed it up. Ancient Apocalypse. Have anybody heard about this? Ancient Apocalypse. Oh, thank you so much, Divine Masculine. Good Rising and Great Awakenings. Ancient Apocalypse. I didn't know. I never would have paid attention to it, but she says this is a documentary about the mounds. It's about the mounds, and it's about how the mounds that are there now are just the most recent mounds. And there's like 12 levels of mounds below them. They were just built on top of each other. So when they say 3500 BC, 320 BC, that's just for the ones that are still visible. So I'm going to watch the documentary. I'm going to watch the documentary. Ancient Apocalypse. Let me type that in here. Apocalypse. Because I am planning this trip. I'm going to be taking a trip to visit the mounds Not all at once. I don't have it like that. But I'm going to start with Cahokia and take a trip to St. Louis and visit some relatives in Indianapolis because they have my family records. So that trip is being, like I was saying, I was thinking about doing it during the portal opening with the six planets in alignment, and I've decided to go for the midwinter, the raising of the tree, the spiral dance medicine wheel ceremony, because that is, that's the perfect opportunity to have this ceremony there. And then I will do the cosmic chimes and chanting either from the lake, it's probably going to be too cold, or from my space here. So I made those decisions. So I'll be going to the Cahokia Mound around February 1st. And I'm going to have my books with me and my notes. And hopefully we'll get some spectacular views of the Milky Way, the raising of the tree, and raising the tree and the basketball court, the copulating peccaries, and the turtle with the 3 stars, 3 stones on his back. We get a great view of the great dog who spilled the corn and created the Milky Way, and a great view of Sirius. So I'm really looking forward to this. I don't have the details, but if anyone wants to join me, I will be posting the details soon about what time I'll be at the Mounds for the ceremonies and for the stargazing, because I don't know if we'll be able to do them all at the same time in one visit. I'm planning to just get an Airbnb somewhere, or who knows? Yeah, I think it'll be too cold for camping. But anyway, so all that to say, when they give you these dates for the mounds, just like other sacred sites, they were just built over and over and over again. Have you heard about the mud floods and the Tartarians, who are really the TaMeriKans? They just won't acknowledge us. They just acknowledge that something happened, but they won't attribute it to Aboriginal Americans. But what I've learned is whenever you see the word boulevard, which is a French word, it means that they just covered over an ancient city and just made a road and put other buildings. That there's like a whole nother world under the boulevard, an ancient site, or like a city or a mound or a temple, or I don't know. But anytime you see the word boulevard, that means that they covered it over. And usually, good rising, great awakenings. Thank you for supporting this live stream. Gods and goddesses rising, cosmic forces of nature awakening. That's what they usually do. Like when I was in Jamwabo and they wanted to show me, just as a side note, I went to this tiny town in Brazil. I thought it was in Sergipe because on the internet it said Sergipe, but they have changed the county and now it's in the state of Bahia. But anyway, I went to this tiny town of Jamwabo, and they wanted to show me a lake that is half freshwater and half saltwater. And then they showed me the stream of water. You can hear it underground. They just built over it. And then they built a church over the sacred site. But if you put your ear down to the ground, you can hear the water. It must have been a spring or something. But has anybody ever heard of this? A lake, a body of water that's half fresh water, half salt water. I believe it has to do with the fact that Sergipe used to be the name of like Brazil, or half of Brazil, southern Brazil. And over time, they're like changing we just call it redlining, or they're downsizing Sergipe because they don't want proof that there was actually an ancient Unitarian society here in North Central and South America. When I was there, my friends also showed me a natural rock formation of a sphinx head. But I have tons of pictures from my travels. I hope that I can still access them off of my external hard drives. That was in 2007, I think it was. Yeah, 2007. Thank you, Junaid. I'm not trying to play games. I'm just talking about some of my favorite subjects. TaMeriKan and the Galaxy, Cosmology, the Olmec, the Maya, things like that. That's what we're talking about. Okay, back to this list. So if you're in any of these states, please reach out to me so that we can coordinate my trip there. I'd love to go to the Mounds to do ceremony and then go to the host or hostess's space and do sound healing on the people that come and offer like a concert for a small donation because, got to pay for the trip. But that is the vision. And I'm calling it a tour, but it's not really a tour. It's just going to be like a series of concerts. So again, we have Watson Break, 3500 BCE in Louisiana, Poverty Point, 1700, 1100 BC in Louisiana, Serpent Mound in Ohio. They're not sure of the date. 320 BCE or 1000 to 1750 CE. The head of the serpent lines up with the summer solstice. The coils line up with the winter solstice, sunrise, and equinoxes. And then also there was they're wondering, was it built during the time of Halley's Comet? Then we have the effigy mounds in Iowa, 500 BCE to 1000 CE. And remember, these are the dates for the mounds that are there now. There's this video, this movie I told you about, Ancient Apocalypse, which we are going to watch. We can talk about it next week. Says that there's like 12 different levels of mounds under each mound. Because that's what I'm talking about. When Native Americans get angry with me for bringing this up, the subject that I'm Aboriginal American, I'm not Black, African American, Afro-American, American Indian, Native American Indian, Black Native American, colored Negro, I'm Aboriginal American, because the people calling themselves Native Americans did not build those mounds, nor are they from the land that they're residing in now. Their stories will tell you that they traveled great distances to be where they are now. The Pinson Mounds the effigy mounds are in Iowa. The Pinson Mounds in Tennessee, 1 to 200 CE. Observatory Hill Mounds in Wisconsin, 500 to 1200 CE. Cahokia, of course, 600 to 1350 CE. Etowah, Georgia, 1000 to 1550 CE. Etowah, no, that's where the Cherokee were. Moundville, Alabama, 1100 to 1450 CE. And the Spiral Mounds, Oklahoma, 900 to 1450. Let's see. Okay, so here I have this little document I made with different notes from different sources. And I don't know if I read this one already, but. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we read this one before where they were saying that the 19th century writers were saying that Phoenicians came over here and set up the lost nation okay. Here we go. Let me just read it again. As noted, 18th and 19th century European and American scholars refused to believe that Native Americans or Aboriginal Americans built the thousands of mounds which dotted the North American landscape because they considered natives primitive savages lacking skill and vision required for such monumental work. Scholar Charles C. Mann comments. Now this is where I got in trouble. So I can't read this. Well, can I give a disclaimer that this is purely for entertainment? And I'm just reading notes from an article from Wikipedia. This is from Wikipedia. It's not even from me. I'm just reading something from Wikipedia. Scholar Charles C. Mann comments. 19th century writers attributed the mound complexes to, among others, these are people from from Asia, from Europe, from Phoenicia, and various biblical personages. A widely touted theory assigned authorship to scanning immigrants who later picked up stakes, moved to Mexico, and became the Toltecs. Okay, that's just for entertainment purposes. That's not my theory. It's not me stating facts. That's just showing the ignorance that existed at the 19th century. Steadily rejecting these possibilities, scholars then coined the terms mound builder, mound people, and mound culture to refer to an unknown race who once inhabited the land, built the complexes, and left, never to be heard from again. The Native Americans, it was claimed, then arrived and took the land, and perhaps even conquered the mound people and took their land, which helped justify colonial land theft from the natives, as they were supposed to have done the same to these other mysterious people earlier. Okay. Hatshepsut. There's a place like that in Botswana, left expansive salt pans and islands with baobab trees. The creation story, Credo Mutwa, told maybe from there the tree of life in Maninavana. Okay, yes. Well, there are thousands of places like this all over North America. And they were the foundations for gigantic pyramids and sacred sites. So I don't know about Botswana. We're talking about reclaiming the Aboriginal culture of North, Central, and South America. Okay, I think I read this part. Yeah. Okay, let's find another area. Okay, the Hopewell Culture National Historical Park, Plum Bayou Mounds Archaeological State Park, Park and Archaeological State Park. That one's not even on this list, is it? Plum Bayou. Yeah, there's thousands. That list I read is only 10. Okay. Formerly the Toltec Mounds Archaeological State Park, so named in the 19th century when it was erroneously believed that the mounds were constructed by the Toltecs of Mexico. This state park preserves a complex of 18, again, this is from a website, archaeologicaltravel.com, thematic guides, pre-Columbian mounds, and mound builders. It's already up on the web. This state park preserves a complex of 18 earthen mounds on the banks of Mound Pond. This is the largest grouping of mounds anywhere in Arkansas. Archaeologists attribute these mounds to members of the Plum Bayou culture who lived nearby between the 7th and 11th centuries. A visitor center at the park's entrance provides interpretive information as well as hosting events for all ages. Yeah, that's one's in Arkansas. So far we've got Illinois, of course, Louisiana, Ohio, Iowa, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, and now we're adding Arkansas. That would be great because then we can go collect crystals. Credo and Phoenicians were the first white people the Bantu saw arrive. Oh, Credo said Phoenicians. Fascinating. Here's another one, ancientorigins.net. News, history, archaeology, mound builders, North America, little known native architects. Smith Creek in Mississippi is where the Penn Museum currently excavates. Is that on this list? Penn Museum? Nope. Mississippi. So we've got Arkansas and Mississippi. So some of my ancestors are from Mississippi. I don't know where, but they're from Mississippi. The Blackfoot from Mississippi. That's where I get these bags under my eyes. Those are my Lakota bags. Okay. Smith Creek. Penn's museum exhibition includes artifacts that were excavated from mounds, including stone and ceramics. Some examples include a panther boat stone that may have been used on a spear thrower, pots in the form of human effigy figures, and shell pendants that have sacred designs of the southeastern ceremonial complex. This complex is a system of signs and symbols shared by different peoples who lived 500 to 1,000 years ago and hundreds of miles apart. All right, so let me put that down on this. Oh, I don't know if I can edit this. Can I edit this? I don't know. Technology. Okay. Return. Okay. Plum Bayou in Arkansas. And Penn in Mississippi. Cool. All right. The lake dried up. Lake Ngami dried up. Yeah, that's really sad when lakes dry up. Oh, you're talking about the lake that I saw? I don't know. It was half fresh water and half seawater, ocean water, salt water. So that is because I don't know why. I don't know why that would happen. I've never investigated. Constance Woo Woo says she might be able to join the Mounds journey to either Arkansas or Louisiana. Not exactly where she'll be in the next few months, but would really like to join us. Yes, I don't know how any of this is going to work right now. All I know is Cahokia for the raising of the tree middle of winter around February 1st. But the rest will come as it's revealed to me. All right. Yeah, so we'll do the spiral dance medicine wheel honoring the indigenous people of the four directions so that we can come together enough to rise up and defeat Western imperialism. And I'll do sound healing sessions for anyone who's interested in sound healing. I'm really excited about Cahokia because there's there's a man there who has some Egyptian artifacts that he found there. He has like a whole museum. That's why I'm really excited about that one. Oh, good rising. Thank you. Divine Masculine. Tapping the screen. Yeah, so I'm excited to go there. And then, of course, the Mississippi, because I have ancestry in Mississippi. Louisiana, I know, was it Eliza Jane? Yeah, Eliza Jane was on the Trail of Tears, Cherokee great-grandmother. So, yeah, this is going to be wonderful. I'm going to see how many miles I can get to before I continue my travels across the border south. All right. Since we've been talking about the constellations, I'm going to read a little bit from the Lakota Star Knowledge. As I mentioned before, I have Lakota Saponi ancestry. Well, I guess I opened it up to this page. So we talked about, in the past, we've talked about the sacred hoop constellations. And now this is a map of the Black Hills as it mirrors the sacred hoop. So let's find out about that. The Black Hills is understood by the Lakota to be a consecrated enclosure. This can be seen on Mr. Amos' Bad Heart Bull's map, figure 3. So it's got the Ki'ianka Okanku, which is a racetrack. That's the one that goes around the perimeter of the area. Mato Tipi Paha, Bear Lodge Butte. A butte, what is it? A butte is a rock. Is it that split in half or the top was cut off? I think it was split in half. Wait, no. Let me make sure I know what it is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Tracking. What is a butte? A butte. Buttes are tall, flat-topped, steep-sided rock towers of rock. Buttes were created through the process of erosion, the gradual wearing away of earth by water, wind, and ice. Buttes were once part of a flat, elevated area of land known as mesa or plateau. In fact, the only difference between a mesa and a butte is its size. Okay, well, that's good to know because um, in my house in California, where I live, there's several buttes there, but they're split in half. Like one half of the butte will be on one side of the river, and the other half will be on the other side of the river. So that's why I thought a butte was split in half. So a butte is a rock formation that has a flat top, and we talked about this last week or in the past that I've seen videos that show that buttes, like the butte, it looks like a rock formation with the top cut off, is actually the tree stump of a gigantic ancient tree that was petrified to stone. So when you see a butte, you're looking at the base of a gigantic tree, not a rock formation. And the Grand Canyon, they say, it wasn't just formed by erosion, it was formed by mining by our ancestors or aliens, I don't know, but probably our ancestors. Okay, so all of these buttes could just be old ancient trees. Paha Zapella, slim buttes. Paha Sapa, black butte. Haysala, old baldy. Hinhan Kaga Paha, ghost butte. Mato Paha, bear butte. So Mato is bear. Imnikata, hot springs. Pite Tali Yapa, buffalo gap. Wakinyan Paha, thunder butte. So again, I'm going to put this map of the buttes around the Black Hills, which mimics the sacred hoop that we talked about earlier with Gemini, Orion, and Sirius. Oh my goodness. Constance, thank you so much for making a contribution, which means that we will be able to go on with part 2, which is the yoga class. Thank you, Constance. It is with this theological meaning intended that Devil's Tower, and isn't that the one in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Devil's Tower? Mato Tipi La Paja was properly included by him inside the sacred circle, which is also the track of the big race, although geographically it is 60 miles northwest of the Black Hills. It should be noted that the constellation correlated with Devil's Tower is also located within the circle of stars, Tipila. Oh, Tipila must be the name of the sacred hoop. The corresponding earth site is Devil's Tower. In Lakota, it's called the Hill of Bear's Lodge. The Hill of Bear's Lodge. Wait, it should be noted the constellation called Devil's. Okay. The last constellation we shall discuss in this chapter uses 8 stars in Gemini. It is called the Bear's Lodge, Mato Tipila. The corresponding earth site is Devil's Tower. In Lakota, it is called the Hill of the Bear's Lodge, Mato Tipila Paha. This is the hill which fallen star created to protect children threatened by bears. In ancient times, the sun entered the Bear's Lodge at midsummer. We may now review what has been delineated in this chapter. The constellations were the visible scriptures of the people at night, and the related landforms mirrored those stellar scriptures during the day. The stars were understood to be the holy breath of the Great Spirit, the Waniya of Wankantanka. The constellations expressed the basic symbols of the people, which in turn evoked their sacred stories and beliefs. Both night and day, the Lakota lived between stories and symbols written in the sky and mirrored on the earth, which through the mediation of fallen star taught them how to establish an authentic relation to the spirit world. We now turn to a detailed examination of the annual spring journey through the Black Hills and ceremonies done there. Wow. Well, we'll save that for next time. Let's recap this here. Let me read this one more time. We may now review what has been delineated in this chapter. The constellations were the visible scriptures of the people at night, and the related landforms mirrored those stellar scriptures during the day. The stars were understood to be the holy breath of the Great Spirit, the Waniya of Wankan Tanka. The constellations expressed the basic symbols of the people. Expressed the basic symbols, of the people, which in turn evoke their sacred stories and beliefs. Both night and day, the Lakota lived between stories and symbols written in the sky and mirrored on the earth, which through the mediation of fallen star taught them how to establish an authentic relation to the spirit world. Amazing. Okay, so let's take a minute to recall that the Quechua in Peru have a similar tradition with their where the Milky Way crosses the road in town, and their life on Earth reflects. See if I can find it in 2 seconds. Reflects the motion of the stars. Is it showing up? That symbolizes the Milky Way crossing the ecliptic, the way the road crosses the river in their village. So it's just inspiration that we can live this way too, looking at the constellations as the breath of the Great Spirit, and then our movements about the earth should reflect the motions of the stars and planets, which is why people study astrology. But in the West, people don't follow it the same way that these Aboriginal cultures do. So maybe we can learn how to, lead an authentic spirit life. And how to establish an authentic relation to the spirit world. Okay. Well, that's a lot right there. I'm gonna end with that, and then next time I fold the page, and we will. Oh wow! I don't know if you can see this. This is a photograph of the Black Hills, and it does look exactly like the sacred hoop in the sky. Amazing. I'm getting chills, and it's not because I'm cold. Okay. All right. So thanks to Constance's contribution, I'm going to take a minute to switch the studio space around, and we will have our Akusaneb reflective movement meditation experience, which is a yoga system based on the movements of the gods and goddesses brought forth by Seba Ma, Dr. Mwada Ashby. And I've been certified to share this with you. Okay, but it's going to take me a minute to get it set up. It was really cold earlier and I could not function. So on YouTube, what's going to have to happen, unfortunately, is I'm going to end this stream and then start another one right away from my other phone. Okay, haven't figured out how to do everything that I want to do on one phone. I guess I could use this. I'll try that next time. I'm just not sure about the speaker on here, but I'm going to do it on this phone, and I will try that next week. Well, yeah, I'll try that next time. Okay, so just give me a moment here. When I have it all set up, I'll switch over, I guess. Thank you, Constance, for making the contribution. If anyone else would like to make a contribution so that the yoga can be made to the community, just Cash App Amet El Ma'at. It's in my bio link, and I'll put it here too in case anyone else is willing to support Cosmology Temple. All right. I guess they can watch me set it up until I have to set the projector to the laptop, and I haven't figured out how to set it. Yeah, I'll do that next time. I'll try that next time. I just used a cell phone to go live. I'm so used to using a computer. Okay. Now, last week they said that it was dark enough. I've been trying to get the room darker so you can actually see the slideshow. I don't know how it's going to work. It's going to work this time. Okay. So there's the camera. That one's good. And this has to come down here. I tried to put the slideshow on my phone, but it doesn't work. So do it this way. Yeah, I've been doing this yoga. I've been practicing yoga for almost 40 years now. And I just recently decided to teach this class. Okay, so it will let me do the orientation. Stream horizontally. Yes, that's what I want to do. I want to stream horizontally. Snap. Yes. So if you're just tuning into TikTok, bear with me. I'm switching the studio around, and we're going to have a yoga session together. Thanks to the donation by Constance. It will be available to the public. Movement. Meditation. Okay. How do you go live then? Okay. All right, so that one's almost ready. Oh yeah, that should work. The main thing is making sure the power doesn't go out. Power. I don't know if you can see me. Oh, I remember on YouTube it's backwards, isn't it? Yeah. So many details. Okay, I think we're almost ready. Plug in. Projector. Maybe. Yeah, that's right. This has to go. This has to go down here. The live class on Fridays has been going really well. And students are interactive with reciting the affirmations, and so it just takes it to a whole nother level. Come on. No projector. Why are you so crooked? Why are you always crooked? There we go. I know you're gonna fall down again before I finish. Okay, I'm almost set up with the other broadcasts. It'll be called Akusanab Experience. Just setting up the slideshow projector. Light on. Maybe we don't want light. Oh. Okay. Oh. Okay. Turn this on. So I'm just waiting for the projector to come on now. It comes on. Still not really dark. But we're just going to have to do with it. Okay. All right, YouTube. So I'm going to disengage this one and then. Oh. Okay. I'd love to hear more about that, Hatshepsut. I'm going to end this stream and then the yoga one is going to start immediately after. Hatep.